Hey guys, good evening. It's good to be back. It's been a while. I know. I'm sorry about that. Been a lot of travel. Hope you guys are doing good, staying healthy and very purposeful. Today I've got something very different. I know it's closely tied to the kind of topics that I normally do. But today I want to talk about the role of discipline in your life, even when there's no motivation, right? So let's jump right in, guys. So what I'm going to talk about is a little bit of introduction about this bunch of these words: discipline, habits, motivation, willpower, tenacity, etc. Uh, the drive to do things. So a lot of words or adjectives and verbs get used in general, but let's just kind of start with the basics of uh, have you asked yourself what is discipline? I literally asked the question to myself a few times and I started Googling a little bit and also asked ChatGPT and other AI engines. So the bunch of different answers that came, but let's just go through what these guys saying, right? Okay, cool. Discipline from the Google. Discipline is self-discipline refers to one's ability to control one's behavior and actions to achieve a goal or to maintain a certain standard of conduct. Goal. It's the ability to train oneself to do things and that should be done and resisting things that should be avoided. This includes setting goals, staying focused, and making sacrifices of those goals. Self-discipline requires practice and effort, but it can lead to improved productivity, better decision making, and greater success in life. Okay, so discipline is grounded in ability to leave one's comfort zone. That's another one. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing. This one is pretty interesting. It's about staying committed to your goals and values regardless of mood, motivation, or any other external circumstances. It comes down to three key elements. Let's see what those are: consistency, showing up every day no matter what; self control, resisting distractions and temptations, and laziness, for example; commitment to long term goals, choosing delayed gratification over instant pleasure or instant gratification. Discipline is not about forcing yourself through pain, but about creating systems and processes that make good habits automatic. It's what keeps you going when motivation fades. Cool. So this is basically a different ways in which discipline is defined. But then people might ask, okay, how is it connected with habits, for example, right? How do you differentiate discipline, habits? Are too many words going around. Now, the way it works is you need discipline to create a habit, right? So in the beginning, discipline is required to create an action consistently. When you're a tyro, when you're a beginner, and you just don't know how to form a habit, um, you need a little bit of discipline to get in. So it's almost like it doesn't matter how you feel, it doesn't matter what kind of circumstances you're in, but you have the discipline to do that repeatedly. Or it could be like studying every day between 6 to 7. It could be going for a 10-minute walk every day between a certain time interval. Extra, I'm just giving an example, right? So that discipline of doing a particular activity over extended periods of time is when you form the habit. Now, what happens after you form the habit is the interesting part. Habits reduce the need for discipline, right? So once a habit is established, it just requires a little way less willpower or kind of motivation to push yourself hard to even do that particular activity. So when I was chatting with ChatGPT, it kind of posed a question to me like, how would you define discipline? As I said, it's just like, for me, it's like brushing the teeth and wearing my underwear every day. So if I don't have to think much about it and I do it, and I feel uncomfortable if I don't do it, that's as good as being disciplined for me or kind of habit, right? So that's how it works. The third point that we need to talk about is discipline sustains habits in tough times. Yeah, this is an interesting part. Even when habits are strong, there'll be days when you will not feel like doing it, and this is part and parcel of being a human. You don't have to worry too much about it, but this is where the discipline part actually kicks in and keeps anyone on track. So when you see someone who's extremely disciplined, it's not like he's some magician or he's a different level of a superhuman, right? He's just as good as you or me or anyone that you see across, just that he's trained himself to be disciplined, that it has become a habit. So if, you don't have to worry that you won't be able to do that. You should be able to do if you work hard at it enough and be very consistent. So ChatGPT gave this very interesting statement, which I think I should read out to you. Discipline is like the fuel that gets the engine running, and habits are the cruise control that keeps you moving forward with less effort. So this is pretty interesting, right? So that's the part on discipline and habit. So there are days in which, let's say, I'm traveling or I don't find the same set of equipments in the gym. I don't find the beautiful ground that I have in Bangalore to go for a run, etc. Obviously, the motivation to do goes down a little bit because you're tired, you're traveling, maybe you're not in the greatest of mood, etc. But even on that particular day, if you do the thing that you didn't really want to do, that's the discipline part that comes in. It could be applied to any strata of your life. It's not it doesn't- I you don't want I don't think I'm slotting myself to, let's say, a gym workout, etc. I'm just giving you an analogy or an example for you to relate to, but it could apply to anything. It could be about spending time with your kid in some form, or things that you didn't really want to do, but you knew you had to do, but you didn't want to do, right? So that's how you did, but you still did it. That's the key part, right? Was that confusing? You might want to rewind and hear it again. Things that you should be doing, but you didn't want to do, but you still ended up doing. That's where the discipline angle comes in, right? So let's get disciplined. So I also want to speak about some parts. So there's something that you should check Andrew Huberman's topic on. I think the YouTube video is how to get extremely disciplined or something. I'll see if I can find the video and link to it. But I remember there's one part of the brain which plays a huge part in helping you become this, I think, the disciplined person, etc., or helps you build that willpower or tenacity that is required, right? So often in life, you see crazy kinds of persons who are going behind something like a dogged mind, like a dogged rhinoceros, with the thick skull and just going behind something tenaciously, or being extremely disciplined at doing something. Or these guys start off are disciplined in one angle, and then they move on to something else, and they become kind of a virtuoso or become experts at anything else with ease, for example, right? So those are, you may think, oh, where is this rarity or superhuman attitude coming from? Oh, this guy is gifted. Maybe there is some genetic predisposition, I don't know, but in most cases, if you look deeply, it's just about practice. As I have mentioned before, the brain is a wonderful organ. You can make it as dumb as you want or as smart as you want, but it's a wonderful learning machine. So you can train it with anything because it is malleable. You can still form new connections and you can still learn new things at any time of your life, irrespective of the age factor, right? Now, so yeah, this is the interesting part. There's a part in the brain called AMCC. I think it's called anterior mid cingulate cortex. I'm not a neuroscientist, so I'll not go too deep into that. But what I figured is this part of the brain apparently is what people refer to as either growing or shrinking as you age. And I think in some ways people call it as the discipline muscle. The more you push yourself to those hard things that you didn't really want to do, the stronger this part gets. So if you kind of laze around and procrastinate or not do the things that you're supposed to do, this part becomes weaker and weaker, and it becomes difficult for you to become disciplined in any form in life. So this is the other way to think about this is this part of the brain that gets, let's say, well lit or activated when you resist the discomfort, or let's say you're okay to become uncomfortable, and you're pushing through discomfort, um, and kind of chugging at it, right? So that's the part. It could be you have a desire to wake up at, let's say, 5:30 in the morning, and obviously everyone knows it's very difficult, right? It's not easy. But if you didn't want to do it, but you thought you should do it, and you do it extended periods of time, this part kind of grows, lights up, and does well for you. It gets stronger. So that's the part. Uh, the part, according to research, that a woman says that you should remember is, um, it doesn't grow or react much if you already like doing that stuff, right? So for example, if someone already likes going to the gym, and then no, he thinks, I'll pull 2 3 extra sets of weights, I'll do, or push myself to the limits, or run that extra mile, or jump that extra distance, would that kind of have an impact on the AMCs, according to research, no, it should be something completely new, or things that you resisted from doing, but you still ended up doing, right? So some examples that, he gives are, let's say you feel like skipping the workouts or skipping studying in the morning, for example, you didn't feel like, but the AMC stays weak, but you didn't push yourself to do it, then that's when it, kind of helps you uh, grow. The beautiful thing is this AMCC keeps strengthening over time if you do that, or push yourself to do new things, etc. And it helps you with becoming disciplined in some kind of tangential or any other non-related areas much, much faster. Just almost think of like, okay, I've had, how do I explain this? Okay, let's say I have a mold to make a soap or a key, for example. I've learned one way to make a soap or a key. Now I know it's all about creating another mold or another pathway to create another soap or a key, right? So it's the kind of the template is set in the brain. It kind of learned that, oh, this is one way to do this, and I can push him, and he knows how to push himself to do the hard things. Now it's easy for it to create another neural pathway to tell you that, oh, it's not that hard. I can create another one for him to do the things that he or she didn't really want to do. So this is the most interesting part that you should remember. So discipline isn't just willpower; it's a brain circuit that gets stronger the more you use it, right? So this is an interesting part. I thought I should talk to you about it. Okay, so essentially, if I have to sum it up, it's like, you need to do things that suck, that you didn't really want to do, but that are good for you. So it doesn't mean you do bad things, right? Things that are harmful for you. It's like, the smoking, drinking, pornography, or doing things that are negative, have going to have a negative impact on you and your brain. Don't do that. Whatever I've been telling so far is related to good habits, right? So I want that part to be very clear. Also, remember that the brain doesn't differentiate between a good and a bad habit. All it knows is that it is a habit, right? But you kind of know which one is good and which one is bad. If you don't, I think you should go back to ground zero and figure out. Okay, cool. So this is some examples. So I want to also give you some examples of what's practical strategies to build a little bit of this discipline. I won't go too deep into it, but I kind of throw you a challenge on what you can probably do after watching this video, right? I want you to remember. So you can read about how do I form a habit. It's going to pretty much give the same thing. One of the things I can tell you is there are moments. One small thing will speak about instead of going through the entire thing of habit formation, which I've covered in many other videos. Start with doing one small thing which you don't do even today, but you thought you should be doing, right? And do that over an extended periods of time. So it better be as soon as you wake up, because that's actually a good way to kind of test your willpower and make the AMCC part light up and grow, right? So let's say you wake up, right? Whatever time it is, I'm not going to give you a challenge on, oh, you have to wake up at 6, 5:30, etc. Let's say you wake up at 6:37, and if you've not been habituated to making your bed, you can do that. Or if it's somebody else in the house who's doing it for you, fine. Maybe I think in every house, in every bedroom, you have the blinds or the curtains. Maybe you can, draw them out and use that, some kind of a rope or a cable that we have to tie the curtains and keep them in place, right? I don't know what that is called, but I think if making the bed is not something that you are, if somebody else is doing and you're not doing, either you could take over that job from him or her, or you could, draw the curtains out and, tie them up to make it clean. How about that for a task to start with? Why don't you do that for, let's say, the next, 30 days, 40 days, and 50 days, and see what kind of changes you're able to feel in yourself, and drop that in the comments. I'm telling you, it's not easy. It may look very easy, very trivial. Oh, just wake up, keep the pillows in the right place, take that bed sheets and everything, and put it in a place together and make it look neat. It's pretty hard. I've been through that a couple of years ago, and this is where the part comes in, right? You'll feel like waking up, you'll feel like lazing on the bed. You're not used to doing that job, and it makes you question, oh, should I really do it? Should I skip it, do it tomorrow, etc.? But this is a task that you could do. I think this is a simple challenge in itself, while not being trivial. But if you do it for extended periods of time and you feel a little different, why don't you just let me know by dropping it in your comments? And this is something that even one of my favorite idols, Jordan Peterson. He speaks a lot about. I think there is also a book called "Make the Bed" or "How to Make the Bed," something like that. I've not read that book, but Jordan Peterson kind of espouses this habit a lot, and he says, in fact, for people who need to get disciplined, how about just making the bed every day? That's the challenge he gives to a lot of people, and I can tell you, it's magic. It works, right? I mean, the other thing you should remember is a cluttered table, for example, or a workplace, or a study, or a room. I kind of tend to think that it's a reflection or a kind of what's the right word? Analogous to your mind, the way you're thinking, isn't it? I mean, maybe you would not want to agree. I kind of think that way, that if I when I see something completely unorganized, here and there, dirty, it just doesn't help me think in a nice way, unless the place is kept neat. It could be a hotel room where I'm staying right now, or it could be my house or my balcony. It has to look in a certain way. It's kind of tells you that, oh, your mind is also in a reasonable good order, right? So any which way, enough of that, Gyan. I hope you found this session useful. We spoke about discipline. We spoke about how discipline helps you form a habit, and makes once you form some habits, it just makes you disciplined. That part becomes much easier for you. We also spoke about the brain, AMCC, etc., and we finally came to a challenge on how do you get disciplined in one thing, because you know for a fact that if you're disciplined in one thing, it's easy to replicate that or transfer that knowledge, that gain, over to any other areas in your life. So I hope you can make your bed from tomorrow, or draw out the curtains and tie them with a rope and keep them in place. Get that nice sunlight or a good fresh air in the morning. I'll see you with some other interesting topic next week. I look forward to your comments and shares and likes. See you. Bye.